Hello again and welcome back to the channel. So I recently got a whole bunch of G.I. Joe Classified from the Big Bad Toy Store and Robo Toys. I got these three figures as well as the Python Patrol, Crimson Guard, the Crimson Bat, I think Cover Girl and Flint. And one thing that struck me was almost all of them are repaints. So rather than do a review, I thought I would do a direct comparison. So here it is. So let's start off with Outback. On the right hand side we have Tiger Force, aka Old Man Outback, and then on the left we have the Survival or the Vanilla Outback. So let's take a quick look at those accessories. As you can see, he comes with an identical loadout, but there are some very slight variations. The backpack on the right, Tiger Force, on the left, Vanilla. Identical in sculpt, but just a different shade of brown. So that is the only difference. Not really bothered about that because I do like his backpack. And then for the assault rifles, these are almost identical with one distinction. Old Man Outback has a darker sling. That is it. That is the only distinction. They both have a removable clip. And then for the sidearm, again, identical sculpt. Old Man Outback's is ever so slightly lighter. It's almost like a gunmetal silver, and then Vanilla Outback is just a straightforward matte black, but they are identical pieces. The flashlights, again, just a lighter shade, a grey shade for Old Man, and then matte black for Vanilla. The boot knife, now this is a little bit different. The sculpt is identical, but Old Man's is a little bit lazy. It's just this flat grey, whereas with Vanilla they've actually put some paint apps on it. You've got a matte black handle and then a nice silver for the blade, so that's much better. And then for the spade, again, identical sculpts, just a lighter colour for Old Man and a matte black for Vanilla. And then the figures themselves, obviously these are hugely different, but only in paint application. Everything else is identical. And to be honest, what were we expecting? It would have been nice to have a different sculpt, but I can completely understand that. That's what we got in the original vintage line. I don't see why it's an issue here. One of the only things that really is of difference are obviously the colours, but also the hair. So for some reason, Old Man is much greyer than the survival version, but I don't really understand why. I'm not hugely into the lore of G.I. Joe, but he doesn't look too much older in the face. It's literally just the hair. But that is essentially it. His webbing is a different colour. It's a darker brown. It's a lighter tan with the Vanilla. Obviously the shirt is different. The arms, everything is all the same, but you get more of a red or ginger paint apps for the hair on the arms with the Vanilla, and then grey for the Old Man. Camo trousers are identical. Even where the camo actually falls, it's all completely identical, just different colours. In fact, the actual camo patches I think might be the same. It's just the colour of the actual trousers. The boots, Old Man is ever so slightly lighter, a very subtle difference, but essentially the same. And everything else, the straps for the legs, the holster, and then the boot knife sheath are all identical. And then the bandana. So the bandana, green on Vanilla and then blue on Old Man. For me, this was always my favourite growing up. I was really partial to the survival version, but I didn't really have him. I liked him, but it was just very difficult to get. So I have to say, of the two, I'm kind of steering more towards the Tiger Force. The survival version is very, very nice, but I do like the Tiger Force version a little bit more. So next up is Dusty. So again, starting off with the backpacks, OG on the right, Tiger Force on the left. Similar sort of situation that we had with Outback. OG's is much lighter but the sculpt is identical. And then for the rifles, now there are some distinctions here. Obviously you can see that the sculpt is identical, the colour of the bipod is the same. It is just the handle for the Tiger Force version is this nice green, OG's is just a matte black, and the body for this version, Tiger Force version, is ever so slightly lighter. It's almost like a very subtle brown. May not be able to pick it up on the camera, but it is there. And then they both have removable clips. I think that clips in back to front. Yep. And then for the helmet, again, identical in sculpt, just the color scheme. Completely removed all of the camouflage, didn't put any stripes or anything for the Tiger Force on this helmet, so I think they missed a trick there. This one obviously has all of the Desert Ops camouflage, but yeah, identical. The boot knives, very, very subtle difference. The Tiger Force variant has a slightly lighter handle, it's a slight brown, and then OG's is a matte black, but other than that, yeah, you can see no difference. And then for the larger goggles, these are completely different color schemes, but the same sculpt. So Tiger Force is this very, very dark brown with these almost orangey red lenses, and then OG's is in fact, they are the same color. I think they're the same color for the strap. I think this one might be slightly darker. So it's just the lenses, I think, yeah, it's just the lenses that are different. And then same for the smaller pair. Yeah, or is it? I think OG's is just ever so slightly darker. Not entirely sure, but silver lenses and then the red lenses. And then for the actual figures themselves, so I was really not aware that they were doing a Tiger Force version of Dusty in the classified line. It caught me completely by surprise. I didn't see any solicitation, no promotional pictures or anything at all. I think I just saw a, maybe it was a post on Robo Toys that he was up for pre-order or maybe even for sale. I can't remember, but typically I'm not a huge fan of the Dusty character. It's not really one that I would normally pick up, but because I do quite like the Tiger Force line in classifieds and I wanted a full roster, so I picked him up. Mine unfortunately suffers from wobbly leg syndrome, but overall the figures, as you can see, they are identical. Obviously Dusty was a later figure, so the repaint is completely pinless. Figures are the same. There is a slight distinction in the flesh tone. The OG version just has a very slightly lighter flesh tone. And then obviously it's literally just the paint application. That is the only difference. I'm not really sure if it works, the Tiger Force camo for Dusty. It would have been nice if they went all out and put it on the legs and then maybe on the helm. It feels a little bit lazy just putting it on the shirt. Even with the face, it's nice to have some different camouflage, some paint camouflage, but would it have been too much to keep? Yeah, I guess yellow would have been a bit weird. I just think it's an odd choice to pick for a Tiger Force variant. You can see here that the strapping on his webbing is green for OG and then red for Tiger Force, red shirt underneath, like a dark blue or black shirt underneath. So other than that, they are pretty much the same. No distinction other than the colors. So hair is also the same. There you go. So moving on to BBQ, starting off with the backpacks. So OG backpack with the orange color scheme and then Marauders with the blue. The backpacks are identical in sculpt. The only distinction is the paint application and some of the transfers. You can see OG has this large hazard symbol, and also the smaller symbols are a little bit different on the Marauders version. Or maybe they're not, maybe these are just a little bit worn. Regardless, this one has the hazard, that one doesn't. And then for the hose and extinguisher, these are so similar. For me, there is a very subtle difference. OG's is just ever so slightly lighter. It's like a very dark grey, whereas Marauders is just a matte black. But other than that, they are the same. For the large axe, identical in sculpt. OG's just has the silver on the blade itself, the edge of the blade, whereas Marauders, the entire thing is painted. Not entirely sure if they did that just so they could say it was different, or yeah, I'm not really sure why. I prefer this one. I think this one just looks a little bit more authentic, but hey. And then for the smaller hand axe, same sort of thing here. These are completely identical. OG's is just a very slightly darker silver, and then Marauders is this lighter silver, and that's it. And in terms of the figures themselves, so because it's a repaint, unlike Outback, Outback is a repaint of a later figure, so he was pinless, whereas he is obviously a older figure, so he does have pins. I don't like this colour scheme. I didn't like it when I was a kid. I never had the Marauders version of BBQ. In fact, I don't think I had the OG version. Not a huge fan of the BBQ figure in general. I don't mind the colour scheme on this figure, but for this one, I'm kind of questioning why I even bought it. Just not a fan at all. I guess if they release more Marauders, they would look better on the shelf, but as it stands, I just don't think the colour scheme works that well. In terms of the overall sculpt, they are completely identical. There is no difference whatsoever. Obviously, it is just the colour scheme. OG also has a transfer on his right bicep. Marauders doesn't, it's just plain on the back. Identical, even down to the dings in his jacket. On the side, identical. Yeah, so there is no distinction other than the paint application. Mine does have really bad legs, very wobbly legs. The new one doesn't, so this is obviously just unique to my figure. Okay, so that about wraps up this video. Just a very quick comparison. Let me know what you think about these repaints. Are you picking them up, or is it just a straightforward pass? For me, I think I'm going to be a little bit more picky. When I entered into the classified line, I did think that I'd be a bit of a completist and get everything, but I'm already missing a few here and there, and I really can't afford to get every figure, so I'm going to have to pick and choose, particularly when it comes to these repaints. I will do a comparison of the Python Patrol Crimson Guard and the Crimson Bat, so look out for that one. I certainly hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, please do consider subscribing. It certainly helps out the channel. Until next time, take care.